Compton is a biographical film about the rap group NWA. It's about how the group was formed together, the impact they had on their individual lives in the world, the hardships of the lifestyles they were living before and after their success. Now, the main three members of the group followed through Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and Ice Cube. Between the beats, headphones, and the artists they discovered through their success, and half the movies they have been in, if you do not know who Dr. Dre and Ice Cube are, then I don't know where you've been the past couple of decades. Now, going into this film, I was really excited, and it was definitely one of my most anticipated of the year, because not only do I like a good hood/urban film, but I also like it when they make biographical films about the early years of hip-hop. Kind of like how they did with the movie Notorious, which was about the famous rapper, the Notorious B.I.G. and also happens to be one of my favorite films. But like I said, I like it when they make biographical films about the early years of hip-hop, preferably from the late 80s to the mid-90s, because not only is that one of my favorite eras of hip-hop, but I feel like that was an important era that had to happen in order for us to get to where we are now with hip-hop culture. Now, with Straight Outta Compton, I can definitely say that this movie exceeded all my expectations. Like, first off, the cast in this movie, the guy that plays Eazy-E, his name is Jason Mitchell. Like, even though he doesn't look like Eazy-E, but he embodied Eazy-E, and every time he was on screen, I believed, yeah, that was definitely Eazy-E. And I definitely learned a whole more about Eazy-E in this movie than I did before. Like, all I really knew about Eazy-E was that he died of AIDS, he beefed briefly with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, and of course, cruising down the street in my 6 foe. The guy that plays Dr. Dre in the movie, his name is Corey Hawkins. Even though he didn't look like Dr. Dre, I believe he was Dr. Dre as well, and I really liked following his story in the film. But I guess the biggest question mark for everybody was O'Shea Jackson as Ice Cube, because O'Shea Jackson, he's actually Ice Cube's son. And the only reason why they picked him is because he looked like him, but not only that, but can he act? And I can safely say he actually did Ice Cube justice, and not only did it look like him, but he embodied all the mannerisms of Ice Cube. And every time he was on screen, I was like, yeah, that's totally Ice Cube. But I also feel like it's a beautiful thing, to have a movie made about you and to see your legacy, your son, portray you in the film. That is a beautiful thing. Paul Giamatti plays their manager, Jerry Heller, and I like this character in the movie too. I didn't know that much about him, but seeing him in this movie, he was one of those characters he had the best intentions and you don't really know if you can trust him or not, but Paul Giamatti, he did a good job playing him in the movie. One of the things I loved about this movie was how the group was formed, because even though they both come from the same place, they both have different talents. Like Eazy-E, he was the investor. Dr. Dre, he had the beats. Ice Cube, he had the lyrics. It was also cool seeing how they work, especially when they come from not the best living environment in the world, but it's like they rap about what they see, and their living situation is not the best thing in the world, and the government won't listen, the police damn sure won't listen, and so what do? They make it in a song. If they ain't gonna listen that way, we'll make them listen that way, and everyone in the world just followed and see, and that's how they had a cultural impact. I see this, so I'm gonna sing about this. And of course, I'm talking about all the police brutalities and police incidents that happened back then. Oh, how the times haven't changed. But again, that's one of the other things I love about this movie is how it's relevant to today, with all the police incidents that's been happening all today and all the police killing innocent black people. It's also still relevant to back then. Now, has it gotten better since then? I guess that's an argument for another time. But I just love the atmosphere of this movie and how they portrayed Compton and how they portrayed the characters and how it all flowed together. And the music in this film. I heard a bunch of NWA songs that I was familiar with, and then I heard some NWA songs that I wasn't all that familiar with, and after I saw the movie, it was like, I need to look the songs up. And not just that, but there's also people I want to look up, like Jerry Heller. I want to look more into Eazy-E, MC Ren, and DJ Yella. I want to look them up and see what they're into today. And I loved all the nods to anything pop cultural within the movie and stuff that they did later on. Like there's this one scene where Ice Cube, he's sitting at a desk, he's typing, and he's saying, "You got knocked the fuck out." And then the camera turns around, it's Ice Cube writing the script for Friday. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing there. There was a whole bunch of nods and references to other people. I guess really my only gripes with the film was the first half was awesome. The second half was kind of wasn't as good as the first half, but I still loved it for what it was because it was still entertaining. But the second half of the film was more of the biographical part of the film. The first half, it was all about how the group got together. It was kind of like a superhero movie in a sense, a superhero origin story. But the second half I found thoroughly entertaining because the second half it's when the group disbanded and where they went their individual lives. And I guess another gripe I have is I guess some of the people/characters in the film were kind of sugar-coated. Now, I don't know what they did, but I guess I'm going to have to look it up. I've seen a lot of reviews and other people saying that they were sugarcoated in the movie, particularly Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, but hey, I guess that's what you get when you have a biographical film produced by Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. And so I would assume the two of them would be like, hey, we did some stuff we're not proud of, but hey, we're still out there, we're still doing big things, and we don't want to look like a-holes, so can we just not put that in the movie, please? But hey, it is what it is. In the end, Straight Outta Compton was a great film. I absolutely love this film. This is easily, I guess, one of my top 5 of the year. I love the cast, the energy, the direction that this movie went in, and that credit goes to F. Gary Gray, who directed this movie and who's worked with Ice Cube on a couple of his films. Now granted, were there some events in the movies that they probably overlooked and didn't put in the movie? Probably, but it still doesn't change the fact that this movie was very entertaining and I loved it. And it was certainly a breath of fresh air after watching that awful Fantastic Four movie. It was a film about how some people can change over time. You take a bunch of guys, give them some money, and each of them go different places, some good, some bad, but the impact they had on the world will live on. And there was a moment in this film, particularly towards the end, where it was an unexpected tearjerker for me, and it, kind of got me in the feels. I'm gonna give Straight Outta Compton an A+ for full price. Guys, please go see this movie. If you go watch this movie, and if it makes a lot of money, it sends a message to the studios. Hey, everybody seems to like this, and everyone went to go see this. I guess they want to see more, particularly more biographical films about the early years of hip hop, or any rapper in that matter. That's it for the day. If you like what you see, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channel. The links are in the description below. And be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Periscope, and MoviePilot. Peace.